First like to thank Reverend Sue for giving me the opportunity to come and share some of my ideas on the topic being with each of you. First off, how are you feeling today? Feeling good? It's a good way to be. I mentioned in the first service how I love words. So I looked up being in the dictionary to see what it said. The first two definitions that I saw were, one, existence. Existence, the simple fact of existing is a sign of being. And two was the nature or essence of a person. The essence of you, or you, is your beingness. What is that essence for you? So I'm not going to go into depth of what I spoke about in the first service. If you'd like to know more about that or what Sue talked about, you can either buy the DVD or the CD in the bookstore or watch the YouTube video or the podcast. And I also want to welcome the people listening today on the podcast. I alluded to the fact that being is tied with presence. Not the presents that you get on Christmas Day, but even though those are gifts, the real gift is your presence. That's why we call it presents, right? Because it's our gift, the gift that we came here with to share with the world. Because your gifts are not for you. Your gifts are to be given. What is the gift that you came here with? What is the gift you are meant to share with the world? That's part of your presence. The other side of that is being present in the moment, in the now. There's a beautiful Jason Mraz song called Living in the Moment. He says, I'm living in the moment. I'm living my life. Easy and breezy. I've got peace in my mind. I've got peace in my heart. Peace in my soul. Wherever I'm going, I'm already home. I'm living in the moment. Living in the moment. Thank you. We can talk about it, we can sing about it, but how do we live in this elusive moment? I talked about in the first service my process for practicing presence. I call it the ABCs of practicing presence. And it is simple as ABC. A, attention. And there's another side of that, authenticity. And B, breath. And C, calmness. So A, attention. Where your attention goes, energy and presence flows. I was on a run one day. I was running in Anderson River Park, beautiful nature area. And an elderly man yelled out to me as I was running, I wish I had your energy. And my thoughts instantly went to, I wish I had the wisdom of his experience as I kept on running. Had I stopped and paid attention to that man, I would have learned much sooner that day the lesson that it took me years to learn when that thought popped into my head again. Had I stopped and had a conversation with that man, instead of just wishing I had the wisdom of his long-lived life, I could have shared that experience with him and rubbed some of my energy of my youth off on him and learned something and had the experience of the wisdom that that man carried. But I wasn't paying attention. So that energy didn't flow. It only went with the thoughts that I had going on in my head, which I think that day were probably, there wasn't much of a gap in between those thoughts. There wasn't much presence going on up here. So the other side of that, like I mentioned, was authenticity. You can't be your full beingness if you are not showing up as your authentic self in the world. To the degree that you are being all of yourself is in equal proportion to how much of yourself you are bringing to the table. Authenticity is connecting deep into that part of you, that creator energy within you, your creator self, that part of you that is made in the likeness and image of God, of the divine. What is that for you? It's there, waiting for you to grab hold of it, and it is as close as your breath, which is the B in the ABCs, breath. By stopping, being still, and following your breath inward into your body and seeing where it goes will calm down the mind and create larger gaps in between those thoughts and help you to excavate that gift within you, whatever it is you have to bring to the table and share with the world. We can not eat for days and still live. We cannot drink water for days and still be alive. Yet without breath, for minutes, flatline. So one of the practices that I have for breath work is taking focused breaths throughout the day. Every time I can remember to take a focused breath. And I start with the exhale. So exhale with me, everything that came before this moment. Exhale to the bottom of your belly. And hold it. Little gap in between breaths. Now inhale to the top and hold it. Create a gap in between the inhale and exhale, the ebb and the flow of life breathing you. So breathing and taking as many focused breaths as we can throughout our day will expand our capacity to experience the present moment and the presence within you, your beingness, which takes us to the C, calmness. Because as you breathe into yourself, you tap into that still, silent space within you. It's the calm in the eye of the human storm. Storms go like this, but the human storm, it's like that. So follow your breath. See where it goes. Tap into that calmness within you. The more you can focus on that calm, silent space, as well as the being present in the moment and noticing your senses. Each of your senses compiled on top of each other, will create more capacity to experience right now. And right now is all there is. Tomorrow's gone. Yesterday's a dream. Or it's a nightmare, depending on what you got going on in the human storm. Be with your breath. Pay attention. Be authentically you. Be you till full. Be you till full. Be you till full. I'm going to invite up Reverend Sue to take the rest of this talk home. I am so blessed to have shared this moment with you. Reverend Sue.
I wish I had his energy.
I wish I had your presence and wisdom.
Thank you, Damien.
Welcome.
Dream come true for the two of us. We've been dancing around that idea, and I'm glad today that it happened, and glad you were here to hear it. So he gave you a beautiful understanding of being. I can't add much more to that, except that in my preparing for this time together, speaking of being, I got a glimpse of something deeper that we have talked about in our teaching forever. That it is done unto you as you believe, right? Sound familiar? It's done unto you as you believe. And the idea of the sense of beingness and the sense of space, and the reading that Joe read so beautifully about all of this knowledge that we have, yet the real invitation is to sit at the Bodhi tree, and the tree sees you and you see the tree, and you become one. And there's this moment of emptying out whatever came before and letting go of whatever concern or worry you would have about tomorrow, and just be. Just be. So I recognize that that is the spiritual practice and the beautiful invitation of being in the breath, being in the deep calm. Then what? When you have arrived there, then what? Well, here is where I started to recognize an opportunity that I have heard piecemealed together through many moments of being in workshops and lectures. This idea of being the co-creator of our experience, being, and then co-creating from there. So it begins, as he so eloquently invited us, to feel all your senses, to put your whole humanness, your whole beingness in the moment of the calm, to wipe away the anguish of your mind from whatever experience came before this moment, to clean it up, to purify it, and simply be. And then the magic. You create. What do you want? I discovered last week at a women's retreat with Andrea, Reverend Andrea up in Bellingham, I discovered that I had obsessive thinking. And she goes, yeah? And I thought, you're not going to try to say, oh no. No, she said, you drive me crazy. But it was an important moment for me, because then I realized I needed a tool to kind of hone in on that thinking. Then I realized, oh my gosh, I'm living everything I worried about. Everything I've been worrying about over the past few months, I'm living it now, and I'm sick of it. I created it. Oh, that's what I've been in this teaching for a lifetime. Duh. To get. But it took a state of being to listen honestly to that and to say no more. The prosperity work that Reverend Mary and I were inviting you to join us in. We have one more lecture, not this week, but next week. And we're just doing cliff notes of these wise teachers. This one was for Neville Goddard, the law of attraction. So his words on the law of attraction. The imaginal space. His work comes back from Ernest Holmes' time. Back, so it's a little dated, but the imaginal space. I know it in my yogic way as the ajna, the third eye. We see it in science as the pineal gland. We start naming it these new words. It's the imaginal space. It's a holy space. It's a space that is clear. It's clear of the past, it's clear of our worry, it's clear of our shame and doubt and concerns. It's free. And what do you do when you stand in that space? You create your tomorrows. With great enthusiasm, you recognize, I am here, I am sitting, and the tree sees me, and I see the tree, and we are one, and we have this opportunity. I feel peace, and I feel peace flowing through my vessels. I feel, I sense, I hear, I see, I smell, I taste. I'm alive with the idea of peace. And I'm going to co-create that in my tomorrows because I'm alive in it today. And I know whatever I'm thinking, I am co-creating in my tomorrows. So no more for me of this obsessive thinking and worrying and concern. I stop it, and I sit in love. That's all I ever wanted, and yet I started to worry. And then I thought, okay, imaginal thinking, you've got it. It's our gift. It's what children do. In the first talk, Damien reminded us of Jesus' wise words. Be like the little children, the little children that have imaginary friends, imaginary fun. All the time they're having fun and they're co-creating it. And yes, they have their temper tantrums, but they're getting it all out in the moment and they're done. They don't sit there a few days later and worry about, that tantrum didn't go very well. They're over it. You know, we need to get over our stuff. And the whole confusion, I think, in our world right now, and I listened to Reverend Barbara's talk from last week, brilliant, peace now. She lives and breathes her word. The invitation of all of this teaching, of Damien's powerful words, and John Lennon's song, Imagine. I'm not going to sing to you because that would be a real closer, but this idea, I just invite us, this being state. When we're there, what has separated us? What separates our beliefs from the believer? In this state, we invite ourselves to sit in pure spiritual beingness. It is, God is that, I am that. What a relief to sit in the refuge of your own self and to engage in that space of love. It is space. At the imaginary Bodhi tree. Crossing the deserts, crossing those times where we call for space. We all need it. It's a call home. It's a refuge. It's a call for deeper yearning for that divine as we were born to be. The spiritual being as spiritual man There lies the perfect God, perfect man, perfect being. That is Ernest Holmes. Spiritual being, a spiritual man. There lies perfect God, perfect man, perfect being. Step back. That invitation, too, was profoundly flashed before me. Step back. If you did this, then step back and take another look and listen reverently to all those around you without judgment or defense, but just with love. That's all that's asked. Let's listen to one another with love. Let's be in that sense of presence and find refuge there. Step back out of doubt and fear and recognize that, as Ernest Holmes says, then we're moving. We're jiving. We're running right alongside Damien. No matter what our age, I can just see it now in my imaginal mind. And then I'm in, as Ernest Holmes says, right relationship with Spirit. Right relationship with Spirit. That's all that matters. Get right with the divine. When you are, so be it. Isn't that exciting? You all have this imaginal space. Oh, this awesome pineal gland. And there it is, waiting for us to do our ABCs, to breathe into that calm space. Ernest Holmes says, revealed truth of being, which is that God is in and through every person, and that this indwelling presence is always perfect. We have allowed judgments and perceptions, assumptions, to cloud our heart, our eyes, our mind. And now we have the opportunity to allow this presence of awareness to now co-create an effortless way. So we outpicture, we sit in those moments. Now what do I want? Now I am so humbled to my core. I step out of my obsessive thinking and I sit quietly in the calm of the divine, and we pal up and we play with it. What do I want? Imagine. And then feel yourself in it. If it's greater vitality and health, see yourself in it. Really feel it and allow the little nitnoidy complaints that separate you from that, let it go and just say, no, in my imaginal mind, I am that I am. And this power surges through your being. There's practices of being that one of a yoga teacher that I read a lot of his work, Rolf Gates, he said there's an effortlessness, subtle effort it takes to be here now. And he reminds us of living within our ethical boundaries. And in yoga, those are known as the yamas, and we've spoken to them before. The idea of nonviolence, may I harm no one. May my thoughts of unkindness or complaining or blaming, those are violent thoughts in one form or another. May I wash clean of those. Nonviolence, truthfulness, non-stealing, moderation, non-hoarding. These are ethical boundaries. These are the yamas of the practice of yoga. And then the niyamas are the disciplines that create and sustain this sense of being present. The idea of purity, absolute, deep, abiding contentment, zeal and austerity, self-study and devotion, mindfulness, the art of paying attention and living with an open heart and an open mind. What is true here right now? So when we align our intention, as we sit in our practice, because yes, we have lives to live and we have to be of service, I believe, in order to qualify ourselves to be a good human being. So we sit in our practice, we invite you into that space of deep practice, so many ways, through painting and art classes, through Tai Chi, through yoga practice, through meditation, through our labyrinth, through self-study. The invitation is always there as we polish the mirror of our true self. So I'm excited about moving forward from this day and knowing that many join me in this moment of the imaginal mind that Neville awakened me in a deeper way to this week. So what is the state of being? Let me remind you. It's not a state of having been or will become. It is Atman, the self, the soul. It's not a has-been or a want-to-be. Your real self is not what you think you were in the past or what you want to really be in the future, not the real deep self that we're working with. Nor is it what you think you are now. You are what you are. What is it in this moment now? What is it? This is the state of being. This is the isness. This is the pure state of being. We imagine ourselves there. We imagine from there because it's pure. I'm going to have Judy sing us. I'll make you sing. No. I'll make her invite us with the music to close your eyes for a moment and to settle in. What do you imagine? Can you join me in that space of refuge? Many years the center has been here, calling us home. Many years we have applied various aspects of the teaching. We have deeply and reverently listened, and today we arrive. Feel that sincerity of your heart to arrive in the heart of the divine, your deepest longing to be with the divine. And Tara Brach, she reminds us to reflect, who am I in that space? As we rest in that space and hear what we need to hear, smell the room, taste what is, feel our heart beating, our body breathing, our sense of beingness in this chair, as if in this moment the imaginary Bodhi tree was that which we're leaning into. Who am I here? Oh, my beloved, may my heart join in this divine invitation to sit in this unified field of absolute grace. Here is the absolute contentment and purity of all there ever is, as we allow ourselves to be held and to open to the breath of the divine, to allow that Holy Spirit to be what breathes us now. Gone are our ways of worrying and doubting. Present now is the opportunity to co-create with this love, through this peace, a greater world. In this prayer, we recognize the moments we've been unskillful, and we humbly ask for forgiveness. In this moment of peace and centeredness, we recognize that we are whole and perfect in the image of the divine. That feeds us, flows through us, is what we feel, is what we taste, is what we hear, is what we see. We are that. And in that space, we move forward from this day, imagining, and then following through to live a greater idea, a world that works for all, a peace that is felt and sensed and tasted. Feel it now as we join together in such gratitude for one another, for a community to come together, to lean into one another, to be a forest of trees, a forest of Bodhi trees, deeply listening and being. I give thanks for the wisdom of Damien. I give thanks for the beautiful music. I give thanks for those here in service today that prepare the way for all of us to enter in such peace. I give thanks for all of you present here, listening and taking home what is yours. Oh, another breath. We are complete because there's only one, and we are that. In love, I release this prayer, knowing we created it together. So be it, and so it is. Thank you.